your rain, for your rain. I embrace it like the shoreline, for your wave. You're coming wave. When you move, I can't recover, and I get wrecked when I rediscover more. And when you speak, I see new colors, and all my heart longs to uncover more. I am reaching hands toward heaven. I'm so undone. I'm so undone. You've awakened. You're reshaping my heart with yours. My heart with yours. When you move, I can't recover, and I get wrecked when I rediscover more. And when you speak, I see new colors, and all my heart longs to uncover more. I wanna live here inside your heart. I wanna live here inside your love. I wanna live here inside your joy. And there's nothing that I want more. I wanna live here inside your heart. I wanna live here inside your love. I wanna live here inside your joy. And there's nothing that I want more. So I wanna live here inside your heart. I wanna live here inside your love. I wanna live here inside your joy. And there's nothing that I want more. I wanna live here inside your heart. I wanna live here inside your love. I wanna live here inside your joy. And there's nothing that I want more. When you're through, I can't recover, and I get wrecked when I rediscover more. And when you speak, I see new colors, and all my heart longs to uncover more. And when you move, I can't recover, and I get wrecked when I rediscover more. And when you speak, I see new colors, and all my heart longs to uncover more. Well, good morning. Welcome to the meeting place. It's so good to be here with everyone in the room. Hello, there we are. Yeah, it's so good to be here with everyone in the room, online. My name is Peter. I'm one of the pastors here, and it's just so great to be hanging out with everyone here this morning. And yeah, it feels pretty awesome to be singing in a room with you guys. So just want to say a special welcome to you. If this is your first time coming to the Meeting Place Church, a big welcome to you. We're glad you're with us. If you're returning, good to see you again. Something I'd like to let you know about is TMP has an app that's been going for a while, so you can check that out at themeetingplace.org/app. And you can find tons of information about what the Meeting Place is all about, as well as get connected, find information on what's happening in the service today. So I know it kind of feels weird having your phone out in church, but if you want to pull it out and find that, go for it. I can see the light up your face, but I know what you're doing, so it's fine. So we're going to get things going here. But before we do, I'm just going to pray for us this morning. So if you'd like to join me as we pray, feel free to do that. So God, we want to just thank you for your love for us. Thank you for your presence with us. That is the reason we are here. We want to be a church that's known for unleashing your extravagant love on this city and on this world together with you, Jesus. So we thank you that you're here with us as we do that. And I ask that this morning, wherever we're coming from, wherever we're at in our journey and our and the ways we think about and engage with you, that today would be an opportunity for us to hear you through the music, through the message, through our time together, and just to take another step closer to who you are. So we love you, Jesus. We thank you for all you've done for us. It's in your name we pray. Amen. Right on. So we're going to get things going with another song here. We're actually wrapping up a series today called Magnify, where we've been exploring what it can look like in those times when our problems are all we can see. What it looks like to, instead of magnifying our problems, to actually telescope God, to telescope who he is, to look at his character, to look at his promises, things that don't change, and to put our trust in that. So we're wrapping that up today, and this next song is kind of about how those times where our past can really hold us back, but at the same time, those parts of our past where we've been hurt are maybe the exact places that God wants to heal us and use us as we go forward with him. So this next song is called Where the Light Shines Through. Like an astronaut, stuck on a planet, even time forgotten. You're a version of yourself, but you're not the same. You try to keep the wounds camouflaged, and the stitches heal, but the years are lost. And another bottle on the shelf can't numb the pain. Why you're running from yourself now? Can't run away, 'cause your scars shine like dark stars. Yeah, your wounds are where the light shines through. So let's go there, to that place where we sing these broken prayers, where the light shines through. The wound is where the light shines through. Ooh, where the light shines through. Ain't we all just Abraham's sons? Sing sinner with the song and drum, and falling on our knees, we all bleed the same. Well, the only tattoos that I have are scars. I got your name written on my heart, and the story that brought you here ain't the thing that changed. No, I want to see that light shining brighter than the pain, 'cause your scars shine like dark stars. Yeah, your wounds are where the light shines through. So let's go there, to that place where we sing these broken prayers, where the light shines through. Your wounds are where the light shines through. Mama, don't the blood just prove I'm human? Mama, ain't the wounds just retribution? Mama, ain't the scars just a vision of grace? Where the light shines through. Where the light shines through. The world wound is where the light shines through. The wound is where the light finds you. The wound is where the light shines through. The wound is where the light, 'cause your scars shine like dark stars. Yeah, your wounds are where the light shines through. Where the light shines through. Yeah, yeah, where the light shines through. Yeah, where the light shines through. Yeah, yeah. The wound is where the light shines through. The wound is where the light finds you. The wound is where the light shines through. The wound is where the light finds you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome here. If we haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name's Gary, and we're really glad that you've decided to spend some of your time with us today, whether that be online or right here at Avalon Cinemas in Woodgrove Mall. So good to be back and listening to live music. You just can't beat that. So great job by the band. As Peter mentioned, we're wrapping up this series that we've been in for the last few weeks called Magnify, where we have been looking at what we tend to do when we face those challenges, those difficulties in life, and we've been using a microscope and a telescope to help us kind of see what it is we tend to do. A microscope and a telescope do virtually the same thing. They magnify things, but they do it differently. A microscope takes things that are small and makes them look bigger than they actually are. So you could say that it distorts reality. A telescope, however, takes things that are massive but appear small to us and actually helps us see them as they really are. And so today we're going to be looking at something that impacts and affects. We all have this thing. It's called a past. You know, you and I, we have a history, an intricate story that is made up of these little events, these large events, experiences and moments, some good, some not so good. And how we perceive our past actually plays a big part in how we see and what we believe about ourselves today. In fact, there is a term for it. I don't know if you've heard of this before, but it's called narrative identity. Check this description of what that is. I came across this in an article about it, and it shows the influence and the power a narrative identity can have on us. Check this out. It says, a person's life story is not a mere chronicle of the facts and events of a life, but rather the way a person picks apart or weaves together those facts and events internally. The narrative becomes a form of narrative identity in which the experiences people choose to include in their story and the way they tell it can both reflect and shape who they are. Interesting to think about. So let me just throw this question out there for you to kind of mull over and think about. If you were telling your life story to someone that really was interested in hearing it, which life events would you keep in and which ones would you let fall to the cutting room floor? I mean, I know what I would keep in. I would keep in the highlights and cut out all the lowlights, right? Kind of like we do on Facebook and Instagram. You know, look at my trip. Look how good my life is, right? I have no issue whatsoever pulling you aside, sitting down with a coffee with you, and sharing with you all my adventures of working on the sea or under the sea as a commercial fisherman. I love sharing the time I went swimming with the gray whales. I mean, it was just awesome. Or the time I experienced an earthquake underwater. Or sharing with you the time I got into a scrap with an octopus and kind of had the round taken out of me, quite literally. Or like last week, how I shared the story of when I kind of unwittingly challenged 100 male sea lions to battle to see who was the stud of the sea by blowing bubbles at them. I mean, I love telling stories like that. No issue at all sharing and including my accomplishments, my achievements, my successes, all my triumphs. But I can't say the same about the regrets. Those things that I'm less proud of, you know, the failures, the mess-ups, the mistakes that I've made. Those are the things that I would choose and leave out of my story. Why? Well, because I don't want you to judge me or think less of me based on something I have or haven't done or something that's been done to me. Yeah, I don't think I'm alone in being pulled towards wanting to be liked by people. I think we all want that. We want people to like us. And I don't want the darker, shadier side of my past to threaten that. And so I tell people, I just leave those stories out and I leave them safely tucked away up here in my mind. But here's the thing. It's up here in my head where I struggle. Because even though my past might be unknown to you and you can't see it, I can see it. It's right there. All the things I've done, the good, the bad, the ugly, they're right there within easy reach. And what I find myself doing more often than not is looking at the lowlights, the bad and the ugly, and focusing on those. I look at them through the lens of a microscope. And what I end up doing is magnifying them till that's all I can see. And it begins to form my narrative identity. I do what Lucy Van Pelt did. Do you know who Lucy Van Pelt is? She's Lucy from Charlie Brown. She had a last name. I had no idea until this week, but that's who it was. And there's an episode, a Charlie Brown episode, where she is playing baseball with the Peanuts gang. You know, Linus and Pigpen and Snoopy and Charlie Brown, Peppermint Patty. Now, Lucy is terrible at sports. It's not her thing. She's more into fashion. But you know what? She tries. And so this one particular day, she's standing in the outfield waiting to catch a ball, any balls that are knocked her way. Well, one gets pounded into the sky, and as it's slowly arcing its way toward her, she looks up at it, and all of a sudden she starts to remember all the times in the past when she failed to catch the ball. And she begins obsessing about it. It's all she can think about. And so it's no surprise when she fails to catch the ball. And so she yells to Charlie Brown, who's on the pitching mound, rather frustrated, and she says to him, "I almost had it. I almost had it, but my past got in my eyes." My past got in my eyes. You know, maybe you're here and you've experienced what Lucy experienced. You know, you want to do better. You want to make better decisions. You want to kick a habit that's not serving you well. You know, and that could be anything. But every time you try, your past gets in your eyes. All you can see is the feeble and failed attempts that resulted in nothing more than more disappointment. It just underlined your narrative identity. Yeah, and that's what happens when we take our past and place it under the lens of a microscope and magnify it. It gets in our eyes. And it's not just our eyes. It gets into our minds. And it has a pretty intense narrative that goes along with it. There's a bunch of pretty harsh words whispered at you that you're never going to change. You've always been this way and always will be, so you may as well just get used to it. You feel like you're caught up in this relentless cycle of try, fail, repeat. Try, fail, repeat. Try, fail, repeat. Some pastor you are. Those were the words uttered from my wife. Quite understandably, it was fair. After I let fly with a few expletives at the driver that was in front of me that wasn't driving the way I thought they should be, which was faster. You see, working as a commercial fisherman, colorful language ruled the day. It was the vernacular, the everyday language in the industry. And maybe you find yourself in a workplace that's much the same. The problem was, most of the guys I worked with knew where I stood in my relationship with God. They knew that when I was home, I would go to church, and some of them even knew of my desire, my dream to one day become a pastor. And so I would try and do my best not to kind of jump into the fray with everyone else and let fly with all kinds of colorful words. And there would be stretches of time where I actually did pretty good, and I'd start to think to myself, God, see that? I did it. I kind of clenched my lips, my teeth, and I didn't swear. And I'd start to feel pretty good. But then like that day in the car, without even thinking about it, like it was the most natural thing in the world for me, I would paint the air with some rather colorful language. And right away, all that shame and guilt would just wash over me. It would just cascade over me, wash up on the beach of my mind. And it would just remind me how futile my attempts were at trying to be somebody I wasn't. Some pastor you are. Maybe you're here and it's not some pastor, it's some dad, some mom, some spouse, some partner, some friend you are. I'm just going to throw this out there for you to think about, but I would suggest that our past is the single most powerful thing that can keep us from taking a step toward God. Here's why. Our past is laced with some very effective lies. Things that we have believed that happened a long time ago, and they've just become part of our story, our narrative. For instance, we might think that because our dad is mad at us, God is too. It's just the way it works. Or maybe someone along the way told you that you're worthless. You're just taking up space. Like, you're never going to change. Like, why do you even bother? What a waste of time. You're never going to amount to anything. You've run out of chances. You're beyond hope. Why don't you just give up? And we just assume God feels the same way about us. That he's given up on us. And so what do? We stay away. Now, I don't presume to know where any of you are in your relationship to God. But maybe you've prayed and asked God to help you overcome whatever it is your recurring thing is. Doesn't matter what it is. But that struggle is still there, and every once in a while it gets the best of you. And when it does, you find yourself quickly agreeing with that voice in your head that says you'll never change. God is tired of listening to you, and he's pretty much given up on you. That becomes your narrative identity. Well, listen, don't miss this. The only thing that's true about that is that it's not true. God never will give up on you. Never. He will never abandon you. He will never stop listening to you. Even when you're sitting there praying and you hear that voice, like, do you think he's listening anymore? How many times is this now? And with his help, you and I can experience lasting transformation and change. One of the most influential thinkers of our time, or that really walked the planet, his writings have just influenced so many people. He struggled with this whole cycle of try, fail, repeat, over and over and over again. His name was Paul. We talk about him a lot around here. Listen to what he wrote and see if you can't identify with this on some level. Listen to this. He writes, I don't really understand myself. Like, I could just stop there, right? Most of us would be like, yeah, I don't understand myself either. But he goes on, he says, for I want to do what's right, but I don't do it. Anybody? Instead, I do what I hate. I want to do what is right, but I can't. I want to do what's good, but I don't. I don't want to do what is wrong, but I do it anyway. That sounds like my teen years. Oh, what a miserable person I am. Can you relate to that at all? Even a little bit? Here's a question. Have you let your past failures, whether that's recurring or otherwise, define who you are? Have you let your past failures, recurring or otherwise, define who you are? Zig Ziglar, he's a famous author, motivational speaker, has written tons of books. He said this about failure. He said, failure is an event, not a person. Failure is an event, not a person. Big distinction there. In other words, our past failures do not define who we are. And it's not because Zig Ziglar says so. It's because the God who created you, dreamt you up, brought you into existence says so. In another one of his letters that Paul wrote that are found in the Bible, he writes these words. Listen to this. This is just like crazy stuff. He says, anyone who belongs to Christ is a new person. New person. The past is forgotten, and everything is new. Man, if those aren't words of hope, I don't know what are. And they're incredible words when you read them in the context of Paul's story. If you're not familiar with Paul's story, Paul steps onto the stage of history, not as a Christian, not as a Jesus follower, but the exact opposite. He didn't like Christians. He despised Jesus followers. So much so that he made it his personal mission to wipe them out, to arrest them and hopefully have them executed. These people continued to follow these teachings of Jesus who taught this new radical way to relate to not only one another, but with God. And that in light of him being executed publicly on a Roman cross. Paul thought, oh, that'll be the end of it. But it's not. These people just kept walking around telling this story of how Jesus was alive, that he walked out of the grave after he was executed on the cross. It's the Easter story. And understandably, Paul, who is a brilliant man, thought this is ridiculous. People just don't come back from the dead. Come on. But the story of Jesus' resurrection just keeps spreading. Eyewitnesses that talked with Jesus, touched Jesus, ate with Jesus after he rose from the dead, just kept sharing that story, and people believed it. And this movement began to grow. People were abandoning their religion of Judaism. They just said, no, there's a better way. Paul was a kingpin when it came to the Jewish religion of Judaism. And this story of Jesus coming back from the dead, to Paul, it wasn't just ridiculous and socially destructive. It threatened his very position of power, his livelihood. And so he used his influence to obtain an official government-approved job to go out and hunt down and arrest these Jesus followers for the purposes of prosecution and hopefully execution. And one day, out of the blue, Paul encounters the resurrected Jesus himself. Jesus, the one whom people claimed rose from the dead, appears to him while he's traveling to a city to hunt down and seek out some Jesus followers that he knew were in the city. I mean, the story is incredible, and I would encourage you to read it. It's found in the book of Acts in the New Testament, chapter 9. Fantastic story. And spoiler alert, it culminates with Paul becoming a follower of Jesus. And all that energy that Paul had, that he put toward hunting down and putting an end to this thing called the way, these people that follow Jesus, suddenly changed direction. Now he was on a mission to take the good news of Jesus Christ to the known world. Now just think about that for a second. Here's a guy that I think we would all agree had a pretty sordid, shameful past. One that would seem difficult, if not impossible, to overcome. It was a narrative identity that was rooted deep. But despite his past, Paul goes from being a murderer to a missionary. Think about that. And the question that comes up for me and maybe for you is how? How is that even possible? How did he do that? Well, thankfully, he shares with us how he was able to rewrite his narrative identity. Listen to these words. He says, "No, dear brothers and sisters, I have not achieved it, but I focus, magnify on this one thing, forgetting the past and looking forward to what lies ahead. I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God, through Jesus Christ, is calling us." The word forgetting that's used there in Greek means refuse to focus on. Refuse to focus on. So literally what Paul wrote was, I focus on this one thing. I refuse to focus on the past and instead look forward to what lies ahead. You and I are not what we have done or not done or what's been done to us. And so the question becomes, and it's an important question to think about, what are some of the things from your past that you need to refuse to focus on anymore? What are they? What is that thing that keeps haunting you, keeps whispering to you, keeps showing up in the middle of your focus, your view? What is that one thing that you need to refuse to focus on? What lie or lies about yourself you've been microscoping that maybe you're feeling a nudge to stop because you know how destructive it is? I came across a story this week in a commentary I was reading about a man who was slowly losing his memory. He had a condition in his brain, and so they did a bunch of scans, and the doctors came to the conclusion that, like, we can help you here. There is a procedure that we can do, but it comes with a risk. If we do it the right way, you will stop losing your memory and possibly, hopefully, regain any memories that you've lost. But here's the cost. If we nick the wrong nerve, you'll go blind. And so the doctor said to him, with that being your choice, what do you want to do? Here's what the guy said. He says, my sight. I'd rather have my sight because I would rather see where I'm going than remember where I've been. I focus on this one thing, forgetting, refusing to focus on the past, and looking forward to what lies ahead. See, Paul understood that taking your focus off your past is critical. Critical if we want to receive and step into the abundant life that Jesus promises us. A life that's focused and on mission. Paul could have easily given up and said, you know what, there's no hope for me. Because his past would have gotten his eyes. He could have believed his narrative identity that was written with the ink of lies that kept saying to him, you're beyond hope, you're beyond saving, you're beyond forgiveness, you're beyond redemption. But he didn't. He didn't. Instead, he chose to telescope God and focus on his inexhaustible grace, his boundless mercy, and his unconditional love. You know, the Bible, I know some people think, it's an ancient piece of literature, it's not really relevant, but the Bible is full from cover to cover of stories of men and women with sordid, shameful pasts who God called into something bigger and better. People like Paul. I mean, the list goes on. David and Jacob and Moses. I mean, it's just on and on it goes. They're important stories because they're our story. Our stories are in their stories. And that's why I can't suggest it strongly enough that you discover these ancient, powerful stories on your own. To read them for yourself, because you know what? The same is true for you and for me. That God is calling us, regardless of what we think our past is, he's calling us to something bigger. He wants to give us a purpose and put us on mission. So I'd encourage you to read on them, reflect on them. And if you don't have a Bible, it's easy to get one. You can download one right now. Just go to the App Store and download the YouVersion. It's probably the most popular one. Or if you prefer the old-fashioned analog way, paper in your hands, we give Bibles away for free here. Grab one for you, your friends, whoever. Take one. They're available just outside the theater or in the lobby at the information table. You know, one of the mysteries of God is how the words in the Bible still have transformative power that has impacted countless people throughout history, even today. There's stories here in this place of people that have encountered God through his word. And so I hope you'll embrace reading the Bible, dip your toe in, try it out. Start with the Acts 9 story, the story of Paul, and be encouraged. There's hope. You don't have to listen to your old narrative identity that's telling you that you'll never add up, you'll never change. Just hang in there and embrace your new narrative identity that is rooted in the truth of who God says you are. Wanted, loved, redeemed, desired, forgiven. As we close in prayer, I want to offer you an opportunity to experience forgiveness and freedom from the lies of your past. Those repetitive lies that just keep coming up every time you want to take a step forward. And it's available to every single one of us through a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's when it's possible. And so I'm going to pray a prayer, and if you pray this prayer from your heart, I mean, at the bottom, at the very basis of this prayer, it's like, God, I need help. There's going to be some more words, but it's basically, that's what you're going to be praying. It's like, I need help here. I can't do this. And if you pray this prayer, let us know. Let me know, because we would love to celebrate with you, walk with you on this journey. Because this is why we have church. This is where we link arms and do this journey together, not by ourselves. And so I invite you to just pray along with me. Just pray this prayer from your heart. God, I just want to thank you for making me and loving me. Even when I've ignored you and kind of gone my own way. You know, for far too long, I have believed that what I have done makes me unforgivable and unlovable. Forgive me for the lies that I have believed about myself, about you, knowingly and even unknowingly. I don't want to live this way anymore. I have come to realize that I need you in my life. Forgive me for my sin. Even though I don't understand it all, I want to thank you for dying on the cross for me and providing a way for me to be part of your family. And as much as I know how, I want to follow you from now on. Please come into my life and make me a new person inside. Help me to see myself as you see me, and help me to see you as you truly are. I accept your free gift of forgiveness. Help me to grow as I learn to follow you. Amen.
All right, well, normally this is a time in our service where we pass a bag around and take an offering as an opportunity for all of us to partner and give towards doing what we're all about at TMP, which is being a church that unleashes God's extravagant love on Nanaimo. Right now, we're not going to be passing a bag around, but there's other ways that you can give towards that if you would like to. There's online giving. You can go through the app. We've got some donation boxes just outside this theater as you're heading out into the hallway there. But also, if you're visiting with us today, this service is completely our gift to you, so please just enjoy this time in this space together. And if you're a regular partner at TMP, this is an opportunity to give back and be a part of what God is doing through TMP. So thanks in advance for your generosity. And so now we're going to transition to a time in our service where we get to sing to God together, and we get to, through music, do what Gary was talking about today, magnifying who God is, magnifying his promises, and in light of wherever we're at, whatever we're going through, to allow him to lead us, to shape us, to help us see who we are in light of him. So if you want to just take the words in from your seat, that's awesome. If you would like to stand and sing with us, we invite you to do that now. I've seen your grace. Your grace from the mountain. I felt you there in the valley below. I felt your love and your mercy. You're guiding me home. I know you're in every season. I feel your hand bringing peace and control. Jesus, your love is my anchor. You're my only hope. You're my only hope. Well, I will trust in you. I will not be moved. High on this mountain, I will be lifting my voice. And in the valley, I will be dancing for joy. In every season, you are worthy. In every moment, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. You are my light and salvation. My God is with me, there's nothing to fear. Jesus, our hope, our redemption. Your presence is here. Your presence is here. Well, I will trust in you. I will not be moved. High on this mountain, I will be lifting my voice. And in the valley, I will be dancing for joy. In every season, you are worthy. In every moment, heart's on fire. Jesus of victory, the sound of triumph, the song inside us. Jesus of victory, we won't be silent, our hearts on fire. Jesus of victory, the sound of triumph, this song inside us. Jesus of victory, oh victory, high on this mountain, I will be lifting my voice, and in the valley, I will be dancing for joy. In every season, you are worthy. In every moment, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. You're wonderful. God, you're wonderful. 1,000 years of promise. Melody. 1,000 years of melodies have risen from this bliss of praise. Countless songs from countless tongues, anthems of your endless grace. Yesterday, today, and forever, you don't change, you stay the same. Yesterday, today, and forever, you remain. You are loyal in your love for us. Lord, how great is your faithfulness. Oh, for 1,000 years, and for all of eternity, you stay loyal in your love for us. Lord, how great is your faithfulness. Oh, for 1,000 years, and for all of eternity. Yeah. 1,000 years of promises. 1,000 years of promises. We're standing on holy ground, lifting up our songs of praise, joining the eternal sound. Yesterday, today, and forever, you don't change, you stay the same. Yesterday, today, and forever, you remain. You are loyal. You are loyal in your love for us. Lord, how great is your faithfulness. Oh, for 1,000 years, and for all of eternity, you stay loyal in your love for us. God, you are faithful. You will always be. Let's sing that again. Forever faithful. Forever faithful. God, you are faithful. You will always be. Forever faithful. Forever faithful. God, you are faithful. You will always be. Yeah. You are loyal in your love for us. Lord, how great is your faithfulness. Oh, for 1,000 years and for all of eternity, you stay loyal in your love for us. Lord, how great is your faithfulness. Oh, for 1,000 years and for all of eternity. Yeah. Jesus, you are justice. Jesus, you are justice. You are mercy. You are Jesus, our Redeemer. All that's broken, you restore. Let hope arise. Let hope arise from every corner of the earth. So let hope arise. In the middle of the darkness, the light of the world has come. You will make all things new. You will finish what you started by the power of your mighty love. You will make all things anew. Jesus, you will make all things new. Jesus, you are reigning.
Jesus, you are reigning. You are righteous. You are Lord. Jesus, you're the Savior. Every heart is longing for.
Let hope arise.
Let hope
arise in every corner of the earth. Let hope arise in the middle of the darkness. The light of the world has come. You will make all things anew. You will finish what you started by the power of your mighty love. You will make all things anew. Jesus, you will make all things new. So sing. So sing, sing, the Lord is our deliverer. So sing, sing, the Lord is our deliverer. So sing, sing, the Lord is our deliverer. His love will never fail. His love will never fail. So sing, sing, the Lord is our deliverer. Oh, sing, sing, the Lord is our deliverer. So sing, sing, the Lord is our deliverer. His love will never fail. Let hope arise. 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 In the middle of the darkness, the light of the world has come. You will make all things new. Yes, you will. You will finish what you started by the power of your mighty love. You will make all things new. Jesus, you will make all things new. Awesome. It's been so good hanging out this morning with everyone. As we head out of here, let's just remember the things that we were talking about this morning and just who God is and who he says we are and wherever we are at in our relationship with him. His promises, his character stays the same. He loves us. And as we head out of here, just remember church isn't over as we head out into the world to unleash his love. Also, feel free to hang out in the lobby, get to know a few people, and have a great week. When you feel like an astronaut and stuck on a planet even time forgotten, you're a version of yourself but you're not the same, no. Try to keep the wounds camouflaged and stitches heal but the years are lost, and another version of yourself won't stop the pain, no. Why you're running from yourself now? You can't run away, 'cause your stars shine like dark stars. Where your wounds are, where the light shines through. So let's go there, to that place where we sing these broken prayers, where the light shines through. The wound is where the light shines through. through.